Welcome to the Wednesday Call Live. Now let's hear it for our guest host, Andy Riddle.
Thank you, Billy. Hey, Alliance Nation. Welcome to the Wednesday Call. You get our team today, so you get to hang out with me and a couple of my buddies with the Alliance, and we get to talk about duplication and the backbone of building a successful organization through duplication. And that's one of the things that I've always loved with this business, because it was never dependent on my ability. It was on my ability to duplicate how big my business could be. And honestly, from where my business is now to where we're going, it will be on how well I duplicate as well. And Andy's always been creative in the way that he's put this business together. It's not just like thrown together and close their eyes. It's years and years and years of putting things together to make duplication possible. Just like the 8 steps. The 8 steps is a duplication thing. I was reading this morning, and I read this quote. It's actually from Aristotle, which is crazy for that I'm quoting Aristotle, because I am not like smart like Aristotle was. But it says, "We are what we repeatedly do." So knowing that we are what we repeatedly do, excellence is not an act; it's a habit. So knowing that excellence is a habit, you need to watch your habits. So kind of like when I read that, I was like, the 8 steps helps you create better habits in your life to be better at what you do. Because then it went on to say, the chains of habit are weak to be felt until they are too strong to be broken. So it's the habit of watching TV, the habit of scrolling social media, too weak to be felt until you have to break them. And it's knowing like the habits that Andy puts in place of what we do with the Alliance, all the way down to the basics of the 8 steps. But through the phone scripts, the in-home presentations, phone sales scripts, recruiting, different things, it's all down into the duplication of what you do and how good you get at duplicating. And it's one of the reasons I feel like I've been pretty good at this business, because in college, I was really good at duplicating too. I would look on the guy's desk next to me and duplicate his answers, and it really helped me get good. It got me through college, and it's been good in this business too, the duplication process of being good at it. So and getting good at duplicating the right people. So it's important to duplicate the right people and stuff. So I got some of the guys from our team that are in the path of growth. They're growing teams, they're growing themselves, and they're doing well on the duplicating path. But there's, as for me, it's a long road of continuing to get better at duplicating the people that you want to follow and want to be like. So I got 3 of my buddies on here. Michelle, you want to start off? Since you like going first when I had to do these calls, you were talking about earlier when we were in here. But Michelle, kind of share with everyone. I know there's probably a ton of new people that we have that have never met you, don't know your background, don't know where you're from. Give them a quick little overview of kind of who you are, what you've done before, and kind of what you've been doing in this business and where you're at now.
Hey guys, I'm Michelle Jones. I'm out of Tampa, Florida. Always honored to be asked, even more honored to actually be on the call. So thank you, Andy and Angela Riddle and Jane Albright. But yeah, guys, a little bit about me. This is my 5th year in the business. Got here when I was 24. Opportunity just kind of landed in my lap. Prior to this, I went to school. I graduated from USF. I wanted to be a copyright, slogans, jingles, all that kind of jazz. Tampa really wasn't the spot to do it. So I ended up, my mom ended up getting me a job at FedEx. No shade to FedEx. She's been there 20 some years, she's locked in her pension, all that kind of stuff. I was there 6 years, and, it just like, it wasn't what I wanted to do. I don't know, like, my mom was still there. It just was really weird. It felt like I didn't have really anything on my own. And, my brother got introduced to Andy Albright. And then he was like, hey man, we can get rich. I found something. We can pay off mom's house. We can do this. We can do that. And, I just kind of ran with it. And 5 years later, my wife and I, we get to do this at a really high level. We're just trying to be better every day. Helping other agents. I still sell actively. I still love helping people, but I also love helping other people help people. And so that's where we are now.
So real quick, Michelle, like since you wanted to be a copywriter, you're like the person calling out the people that are duplicating and copying. Like you were anti that, right? Originally, if you're a copywriter.
I mean, I guess, yeah, call me the police, if you will. But yeah, I guess I never even thought about that. But I definitely, I wanted to put my stamp on stuff and really make it mine.
Well, at least you know when people are copying. You know what I mean? And know it exists.
Yeah.
So
that's very
just when you said it, I was like, copywriter. I was like, she's like the anti of duplication.
That's funny.
So, well, cool. All right. Jonny and Anely, come over to you guys. Same things that Michelle, kind of like talking to the new people, explain who you are, kind of what were you guys' backgrounds, kind of where you guys are at the business now.
What's up, guys? Jonny Anely, right from Tampa, direct under Brian Rojas. Before the Alliance, well, me, I was all over the place, but I was focusing a lot on call center and driving for Uber and Lyft. And from there on, well, shortly after we found the Alliance, so Brian actually put me on. At first, we didn't listen, so I let 3 years go by. And when he finally threw a roll of hundreds at my face, I was like, okay, what are you doing? What are you selling? What type of drugs are you in? I went in. And then since then we got started, we were doing good enough to where we were able to retire Anely from her job, and she came full on board and started helping us full on board, and a little bit what she has to say.
Yeah, so I'm Anely. Thank you, Andy, for having us on this call. It's an honor. Thank you, Andy and Jane Albright, for the opportunity. And thank you, God, for everything. But I came from corporate America, pretty much just the bank, moving up every year, and then kind of not satisfied with my little 20-cent promotion or raise every year. So I told Jonny, I was like, you got to get pushing with this thing because I cannot do the 20-cent thing anymore. So then, thank God, last year, yeah, I just hit my first year. I was able to fire my job at the Bank of America. And now we've been doing this full time. And it's been a blessing to be able to, do this with our team and have our kids be part of it. So, yeah, it's awesome.
I was going to ask you because originally you said the bank, and I was like, well, what's the bank? Who's the bank? But then you said Bank of America, so.
The one everyone comes from.
Everyone comes from, well, a bunch of people have come from there. But they're big. They're okay. So, but cool. Thanks so much. Same thing, Sebastian LaQuinta. Kind of give them, like you're talking to me the first time. Like, tell me about you guys.
Hey, everybody. We are Sebastian and LaQuinta Chambers. We live here in Lawton, Oklahoma. We've been a part of the Alliance. This past June made, 6 years? 5 years that we've been with the Alliance. I just want to thank Andy, Angela, Terry, Tia, Jason and Olga, Andy, and Jane. This opportunity is amazing. I would say that our first 2 years in the Alliance was kind of slow. We were doing more of investigating, but we were still coming to the events. We were still plugging in. We were still learning and growing at a snail pace, I should say. I watched Sebastian build. I was a supportive spouse in the beginning. I watched Sebastian build to the point where he was able to let his job go with the government in 2021. And then I got a little bit more active, not really all the way supporting, but, just kind of got my feet wet a little bit. Then I made the decision to really, really change what I was doing as far as my participation in the business. I'm like, okay, I'm going to join you. We need to lock arms. This is the plan. We're going to go for it. And then the next 3 years, I was able to retire from my job, January 2024. I worked for the local public school system as an accounts payable manager. So I was able to tell them, see you later, goodbye. So we've just enjoyed the process of the alliance. This business allows you to get in where you fit in. The system is absolutely amazing. If you are a coachable person and you have a willingness to help people step out of your comfort zone, you're in the right place. Like I said in the beginning, I wasn't, all like, oh my God, insurance. But now I live, breathe. I absolutely love everything that we're doing. We're having fun, we're making money, and we're making a difference.
Yeah, and Sebastian Chambers, billionaire. We have mansions and yachts. Again, right here in Latin America, that's us. Like LaQuinta said, the first couple of years was like, so just real quick, we came from several opportunities from 1992 all the way up to 2000. I've sold pills, potions, powders, you name it. I've tried to do it all, had no success, spent thousands and thousands of dollars. Had a little bit of success in 2012. That company went away. Started another little company after about 8 months. It went away. So by the time we got to the alliance, it was like, is it going to go away? That was our concern. So the 2 years that we spent going to all the events, meeting all the people, it was to the point where people were just asking us, well, how long you been in? Well, what level are you at? Well, where are you people at? And it was like, it got awkward. Like, we kept coming around and we were doing everything they were telling us, but bringing people because of my own not wanting to be embarrassed because I got some people to follow me and then all of a sudden it went away. So after we realized it wasn't going to go away, we started plugging in and duplicating and selling, recruiting and building. And now it's just, right now we're in that explosion mode and we're just excited to be a part of it. And we're just so thankful to all the leaders, especially you and Angela and Andy and Jane and Terry and Tia, Jason and Olga, like pouring into us all the time and always being there to support us. We're just excited about it now, man.
Well, awesome. Well, thanks so much for sharing, giving a little background on yourself and what we got going on. So like I was saying, like today's call, we're going to talk about duplication. And when I think of like things that Andy have said and things that like Brian Adams have said and different things that I've copied over the years. And I got to hang out with Andy, gosh, it was 2 weeks ago now for like a day. And it's like the whole time I'm there, I'm asking him questions, watching them work with agents, listening to them on phone calls. And one of the things I always do with duplication, and I kind of want you guys to share kind of things that you've done to get better at what you do. But like when I listen to Andy, it's like when someone asks him a question or he's talking to someone, I'm answering the question in my head. And the key is in your head, not for Andy, because he knows what he's doing. And then if my answers are different, when I get a second with him, I'll be like, hey, when so-and-so said this, you said this, and I was thinking this. So check my thinking. Why'd you go that way? And it's a good way that for me, it's always been to learn the duplication of the way he thinks and get around him more and continue to do. And then there's other things like duplication when you just watch people, and I like to watch different people. Like one thing that jumps out to me is I heard Brian Adams speak a few times at our conferences, and he always talks about a rising tide raises all boats. And the first time I heard him say it, I've heard the quote before, but I was like, a rising tide raises all. And I'm saying it to myself as Brian's saying it. And I say ships. And he says boats. And I'm like, Brian said that wrong. Then I was at another conference and I heard him say the same story again. He's like, a rising tide. And in my head, I was like, ships. And he says boats. And I'm like, it's going to be boats from now on when I say it. A rising tide raises all boats. it's the duplication. And you can say like that's a small little thing. It's like I've always just looked at when I get around Andy or someone like an Andy or Brian Adams and I'm learning from them. I don't want it to come down to at the end of life and I'm not where I wanted to be or not where I was chasing to get to. And I find out it's because I said ships, not boats. You know what I mean? I don't want it to come down to like different things. And it's like, do you think that one word makes that big of a difference? Probably not, but I don't want to find out that it did. You know what I mean? So it's like, I just change it. And it's knowing the duplications of watching things that happen and the things they say and the way they say things. But it's the same way with our sales systems and our recruiting systems that we have in place. It's all you guys on this call are very good salespeople that have sold a lot of insurance with us in different ways. And And it's kind of cool because each one of you have done it at different lead sources or different ways that you build your business, but in the same sense as you follow the system, and it's following something that you do, from the basic phone script to booking appointments to the ATM of running an appointment. It's following the system, yeah, you've probably made adjustments, things that work better for you, but you learned the system first and then made adjustments from it and changed things up. And you've probably made some changes that were dumb and you changed back. And that's kind of what, but the thing I love about duplication is it's a way to speed you up in your business. So I tell people all the time, it's taken me 18 years to get to where I'm at, but if you duplicate it, you could do it in way faster. And I would even say even faster than half the time that it took me to get there, just because you don't have to make mistakes. And I know one of the things Andy always told me when he still tells me, he's like, hey, if you have to learn everything by doing, it's going to be a long path and you probably won't be around long enough to get successful. So if you can't learn from other people's mistakes, or if I couldn't learn from Andy's mistakes, and that's duplicating, that's like trusting what he says, like, don't do this. And he's not telling you that for any other reason, that he doesn't want you to have to go through all the crap he's probably already gone through, and different parts of stuff. So kind of for each one of you, like kind of how's duplicate, I'll kind of go in the same order. That's just so you guys are ready. But so Michelle, I'll go with you first, but kind of talk about some things that you've had to learn in this business, and duplicate different points of the business to get to where you're at, and what that journey's been like. And talk about, because I'm sure you've made decisions on your own and just tried to do something one way, and then it's like, shoot, that didn't work, and then you get coaching and go back to another way. But also talk about like things where you just said, I don't know how to do it, and you've done it that way, and it has sped up the success rate of doing things.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. Yeah, so like one of the first things when I think about it is like base level rope at the bottom was like when I thought about learning the phone script and booking appointments. Like I remember Mike saying, I remember him saying, book every hour on the hour. And then I looked at him and I said, I mean, man, if I book every hour on the hour, like I'm not going to be on time, like, and I don't know about you, but I'm a punctual person. And you know what I mean? Like I was just so high and mighty, like, yeah, I want to be on time. And I remember like I was booking them, 2.5 hours, like 2 hours apart, almost like giving myself drive time and accounting for all of these things. And I found myself very quickly, sitting in a parking lot, I don't know if y'all are going to be honest, or if you're looking at me like, I've never done that. I've never sat around, waited for my next appointment, but I did. And it was my fault because I just wasn't busy. And it all came from just something so simple as like, hey, book every hour on the hour. We're telling you because you're not going to get to everybody, but the people who know show you, your schedule will just kind of align. And, all the people that you miss, it's never a big deal. You can rebook them. And so, something like I came in hard-headed, and so he was willing to work with me, and we've come a long way since then, but that's something that really stuck out. And then, throughout the way, I just was like, okay, well, that had been a lot simpler had I just listened, had I just took what was already there. Okay, so what else does he say? So then it's objections in the home, do it like this, do this before the objection comes up. When it came to recruiting, I think I was so afraid to say the wrong thing. Like I remember asking Riddle, what's your intro and what's your close? And I think Brian and I at the same time, like taped it to the desk. What's your intro when you call, resumes, and what's your closing line to get them to move forward? And things just started to just fall. And it's just like, why reinvent the wheel if it's already there for us? When I started traveling, I went with you first, and I saw, okay, like this is not as scary, because I was thinking, well, you're a guy, and I'm a girl going to a new city, and what if nobody shows up, and what if nobody listens, and like I had all these fears, and like then I watch you do it, and I thought I had to take days off of work, and you condensed time. You took the earliest flight out and the latest flight back, and we saw 10 different agents in that short amount of time. We ended up breaking bread with them, doing training. It was just like, oh, okay, so I can fly somewhere for a day and I can take the earliest flight out, and was like a very handheld process that I have really appreciated, as I continue to develop and as I continue to grow. And so those are just some of the things that have really stuck out with me.
Cool. What did you see when you've like traveled and done what the scene? I guess like one of the things I always looked at Andy and Jane, they always told me they thought their kids would do better in school because they got to see a lot, like to travel stuff. And I was like, I need to travel with my kids so they see a lot, so they do better in school. So kind of like if we look at it like you went, I think we went to Atlanta and did stuff there and traveled around there. What did you see that sped things up? Well, I mean, I know you kind of said like the speed and the number of people and stuff, but how did that change your thinking? Did it change your thinking faster to see it, or was it faster when someone just tells you to do something?
No, I was seeing it was crazy, right? So, like I remember weeks prior, and thinking back, I realized you were working me. Like you were showing me different things, but at the time I was like, okay, it didn't quite make sense. But I remember like maybe like a week prior to us going, he screenshot me a stopwatch. Okay. And the stopwatch had 1:20 on it. And I was like, no words, just imagine you get a screenshot that says 1:20. And that's immediately going to make you say, what's that? Like naturally, that should be your response. Like, what is that? And he's like, that's how long it takes me to get through the airport. And I was like, so I'm just like, how is that? Now I'm intrigued because how'd you do it so fast? And then, another day, and then it's always just trying to beat that time. And I'm like, okay, so then we go to the airport, and I really watch him get through the airport, like get through security, get to where he needs to go in 1:20. And I'm thinking, holy cow, like, how much time do Cassie and I waste? Like, but not like you think you're walking at a really fast pace until you see somebody walk faster. And it seems really trivial. It seems like what does walking faster have to do with selling insurance? Like, well, nothing but everything, because the way he walks is the way he does pretty much everything. It's the way he makes decisions. It's his thought process. Like he operates at such a fast pace where most of us haven't even got to the gate. And so it made me just pick up speed. Car rental, he doesn't talk to nobody. You think he has to, sign a piece of paper? No, somebody else figured that out, that he shows up and does only what he's good at, is get in the car. Coffee orders, it's so small, but it just cut off all the wasted time. And it allowed me to see what time I was wasting. And then we had more time to work with agents, where he books his hotel, the agents that came to a location, and that location was intentional. Like that's another thing. Like nothing was by accident. It didn't just happen. Everything was so intentional that like it made me just start thinking about like, why don't I consider these things? Why don't I know that this stuff exists? Or and then it's like, okay, well now I do know. So what's my excuse to continue to move slow? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, and it's just how quick you made adjustments from it. It's like when I travel with Andy, it's the same thing. It's like Andy has his own jet, so when you go with Andy, it's like you don't even waste 1:20. The car pulls up and you walk up the stairs you're on, and you're in the air in about 1:20. So it's even faster. You know what I mean? But it's like, right. And it's like, but you think about things, and I look at things and I ask questions and stuff, and it's always like, if I had a jet, I wouldn't have to waste that 1:20 or the 30 minutes either. But it's like, are you making the steps that Andy did to get to the jet? You know what I mean? Did you make the change? Because, I mean, one of the first things Andy always told me when I was traveling with him, because I was probably a slow walker then, especially compared to him. And he's like, hey, I've never met a rich person that walks slow. And I was like, good enough. I'm going to start walking faster. You know what I mean? It's so crazy, Michelle, because it was like I got my haircut like 2 weeks ago. And usually when I get my haircut, my barber's already there, like at the chair. And he's like, hey, come on in. And I got there and he wasn't at his chair. I think he was at like lunch break or something. And then I was a few minutes early. And so I sat down, just no big deal. And I saw him walk in. and he was a slow walker. And I text my assistant, I was like, we may need to find a new barber. I can't have a slow walker cutting my hair. And
That
then
makes sense.
And then later that day, I was on a call like the TWC with Andy, and he was talking about slow walkers, and I'm like, "Yep, I'm the same way." But it's all through what Andy's taught me and people to be around, and how he sees like successful, wealthy people move fast, And so I've always been watching him to move fast and how to cut time off and to do things faster. And it's the same thing with change, because it's as you do duplication stuff and you start trying to duplicate and make changes in your life, I always like the people, Michelle, that are like, I like to be my own man, I like to make my own decisions, I like to be my own thinker. And the crazy part is that I just believe that you're not your own man, you're not your own thinker, you're not your own person anyways. You've just been influenced by someone else already, and you're thinking off that person's thing. And there's a really good book, it's on the book list, it's called The Secrets of a Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. And he just basically talks about like you have this law of the lid, and it's usually the lid is set by the people that you've been around. In the book, he talks a lot about like your parents, like they've had you at least under the roof for probably like 18 years, and they've just been pounding their beliefs into you. And so when you think you're an original thinker, no, you've just been trained by somebody like your parents to think like them. And it's not that your parents are bad people or they did the best that they could, but it's like if you think and do things that way, you're going to get and have what they have. And if you see what they have and you say, I want some, if your answer is I want something more, like for Spencer Albright, it would be almost like, hey, I'd just do what your dad trained you to do, you know what I mean, and do it better, because he's being trained by it. But like for me, it's like I was like, oh gosh, I don't want to have the life that my parents put up. Like I'm appreciative of it, but it's like if I do and make the decisions like they do, I'm going to live the life that they had. And so it's like, do you make the changes to know that the habits or the things that you do and the way you think, it's not you individually, it's the way you've been raised. And if you want to break that, you got to think differently. And that's the one thing I've always appreciated with the Alliance system. But more importantly, like Andy Albright, who created the Alliance system, he's always stretched me, pushed me, made me see things differently than the way I was. And change is one of those things that's really hard for people. I think everyone, I don't think I'm like immune to it. It's hard for me to change too, but it's looking at things in step 8, positive mental attitude, instead of being like, they're attacking me. They're trying to be mean to me or change me. It's, why are they trying to get me there? What are they leading this to? Because a lot of times with change, it can be received as an attack, like you're not good enough, you're not a good enough person. They're just trying to get you to see things different ways and create different habits inside of you to change the outcomes of your life. And it's knowing when you have a coach or a mentor to help you do that, that's really ultimately what they're doing and where they're trying to lead you to. So cool. Right. All right, Jonny, Anely, coming over to you guys, talk a little bit about some of the things that you guys have changed since you've been with the Alliance and ways you think, and ways that you have learned them faster and adjusted to them.
Well, I would say like piggybacking off of what you were just saying, like asking questions, because we are molded a certain way growing up. And it took a long time for us to really learn to start asking you questions, or like plugging in and telling you like, hey, Riddle, we want to do this. And you're like, well, like you kind of mentor us through that process, where before we were kind of just like, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and then kind of end up with the same result or be in a worse place. So it's kind of just checking our thinking with you and kind of just asking questions. Like even when I was at the intense training and I was like, not like in my element, and then I called you, and then you kind of just like, pretty much like, we're like, come on, get it together. You gotta, you know what you're there for. Like, and then I was like, okay, I got it. And then like, just pretty much just did what you told me to do when I asked you those questions. And then I was like, dude, now I see like, you're literally a little Albright, because like I see the way you act, and that's literally, you act just like him. So it just teaches us that we have to start acting like you and start doing what you're doing, start following what you're doing. And it's a process, and it's getting uncomfortable with our comfort, and kind of now just analyzing where we want to be is not what we're doing. It's not going to get us to where we want to be. So it's just like dissecting our work ethics and what we're doing and our goals, and kind of just like asking you and just following what you're saying and trust that process, and literally just doing what you say, not trying to like reinvent it or work like tippy-toe around it, just doing it. That's for me, I would say.
You're on mute.
Real quick with that, Anely, before Jonny goes on, I kind of remember this conversation when you called me from there. And it made me think of something else I was reading this morning, but it was talking about like how to become unstoppable force of nature and how to really be successful. And it talked about two things. And when you brought that up, I was like, that's exactly what that thing I read this morning said. And it's like, one was taking complete ownership, stop pointing fingers, stop making excuses. And I think that's what a lot you're doing. It's like, woe is me, not this, not this, not this. And the second thing is start solving problems. And your problems that you were having, I was like, do this, do this, do this, and it'll fix your issues. And it changed you like that. And it's knowing these things. It's like, everything's tied together, and it's knowing like how quickly just to get someone out of that situation. And I've just seen Andy do it so many times. It's like watching these TWCs, and you can be like being around Andy for 18 years and watching heck, we had TWCs when I started 18 years ago. It was called the Wednesday call because it was actually a phone call because we didn't have video. But it was we just didn't shorten it up to an acronym, but we had the Wednesday call, and it would be just watching those for 18 years. It would be easy to say, oh, I know what he's going to say. I've been watching him do these for 18 years. You know what I mean? But then it's also like watching the ins and outs of what he does, how he coaches people on the calls and the things that he does, and knowing why he says certain things and different scenarios, and how quickly he can get people to move. You know what I mean? And that's one of the times when you called me, I could have just ignored the call, not answered the call. I could have been like, it's going to be okay. Just stick it out. But no, it was like where you said it was like that smack across the head, like it's like you're there for a limited time. Take advantage of it. Get out of this crap, And I've seen Andy do it, and I probably am not as graceful and as good as he is at snapping people out of stuff, but I'm getting better every day, So,
well,
I'm trying to get better every day. All right, Jonny. Same thing for you, man.
It's a lot of what you guys are saying. It just you start thinking and you start analyzing and going back, and you start saying to yourself, man, it's true. Like if we will only pick up and listen to 100% of what you said or say, it's like when you talk about that line, when we veered off that line, like how quick is it going to take us to go back to that center line instead of going straight, and we curve it a little bit because we make our own decisions. Why not just stay on that solid line and do what we have to do, which is checking our thinking, calling you before we make a strategy move, right? When we think that we're doing the best move on our own, it's like checking our thinking. And I think that's a big process of what we've gone through and are still going through, because we haven't perfectionized it. We're not 100% where we should be, and we understand that, and that's why we keep calling you and keep texting you. But understanding that we got to do it more than we currently are doing it if we are seeking growth, because it's a system. We got the cheat code. I mean, you're the cheat code to us direct, and the cheat code to you is Andy Albright. So it's like, why not follow the same system that you're following if we want to be where you're at right now? And that's a big thing that Anely and I talk about sometimes. It's like, who cares what people have to say? Like, we're just gonna follow what you're telling us to do, and see where the differences are between this person and us. Like, if they're following, they should be at the same level or better. If not, we're gonna see them, way from the. It's to stop the pride within yourself, to have the courage to ask the questions that need to be asked, even though you're going to get embarrassed or shamed in the way, or whatever you're thinking up here. What you put up here is what it's going to grow you and your feelings. So It's what we do with you. So we try to reach out as much as possible, because we want to grow. We want to keep growing.
Yeah. And it goes back to kind of where you were just talking about, like, embarrassed or whatever. It's just different. You know what I mean? And I would say, like, no one's trying to embarrass you. They're just trying to, sometimes you have to be direct. You know what I mean? Just because you don't have I could have, with Anely's example, when she was at the intense training, I could have been slow, but she's only there for so many days. It's like, I had to get it. It's, it's limited. So,
Stop it.
Yeah. It's like, stop it, or I'm going to bury you in a box, and it's sometimes it's there, but ultimately it's, if you're really trying to become great and you're really trying to get this business going quickly, you need to be urgent in yourself too. Like, almost not be embarrassed. It's okay. Like, I'm okay if Andy coaches me in front of a group, because he's getting me better faster, and I don't have to wait for that time where I get a one-on-one time, because it's very rare that I even get a one-on-one time. I was fortunate I got some 2 weeks ago, but I mean, that was the first time me and him have hung out one-on-one in a long time. You know what I mean? So it's like, a lot of it, it's not that he's not there for me. I have to take when I get stuff, and it's a lot of times it's in a group where you risk the embarrassment. But really, what the embarrassment is, my ego gets hurt. You know what I mean? Because I'm not doing the stuff right. But it's like, do I care that my ego gets hurt, or do I want to get better? Which one hurts more? Where does the nail hurt? You know what I mean? And when the nail, and the better you get at tricking yourself that that you don't really care that your ego gets hurt, you just got to get better, because it's one of the mistakes I feel most people make with the Alliance is, like, as an athlete, you have a season. You have a season to win a championship, and then the season's over, and then you got next season. But at some point, the seasons even end. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have another season to go. So it gets more urgent to chase things. In this business, I think people are like, well, this season's over, but I just have, it's endless seasons that I have. And that's not true. And I can say it in one way, is that you're not going to live forever. Two is, there's going to be things that come up in your life that you're not prepared for, that if you wait until they come up to try to get prepared for, it's going to make things a whole lot harder. Right. And it's just knowing that, and Andy says it all the time. You know what I mean? It's like we just put my mom in an assisted living, and we have additional expenses to help her with that and put her through that stuff. But it's like, I've heard on calls that Andy's saying, your parents are getting older. You're going to have stuff. And you can say, Michelle is always mean. And she's like, my mom's the same age as you. You know what I mean? Because she's just mean like that. Hey, since she's my age, since I'm the same age as her mom, she's getting older, Sebastian, you know what I mean? So it's coming. It may not be as fast as my mom's having to do stuff, but she's got stuff she's going to have to deal with too at some point. So it's building that urgency in there. And knowing that regardless, and there's other stuff that, Michelle and Cassie, Cassie's going to want a nice, pretty house one day, because I know the pictures they send me all the time, and I know what it looks like, and it's probably not in her budget right now, the one that Cassie ultimately wants. So it's like, you better get going. She doesn't want that when she's 80. She wants it way faster than that. So it's having that urgency and stuff, and how fast you want to get stuff and how fast you want to go. And the cool thing is, the duplication can speed that up. I mean, really, really fast. I ultimately believe I could get someone to making from $0 today to making $500,000 this time next year in our business, if they're willing to do the stuff that we tell them to do. And it took me probably 4 or 5 years to get to that level, but I just know what I did, and I know all the mistakes I made and all the different things that I could do. And I was like, if they're willing to go through that, they could do it. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. It's going to be hard. And it's one of those things where you've got to drop your ego. You just go do, not think for yourself, because I'm not looking for the way you were raised thinking. I'm looking for Andy's thinking as fast as I can to speed that up. So cool.
It's funny you say that. Sorry to interrupt you real quick.
Go ahead.
Like, the way we're brought up, it's a huge part of who we are now. And being exposed to people like you, millionaires, people that are doing stuff in this business is where your mind it just starts shifting, and it starts making you believe that there's a better way out. But if we get stuck in our own ways, we're never going to see growth. But it's crazy you say that.
Like, I think I had a great childhood, a great upbringing, a great parenting, and that. But when I look at what Spencer and Haley had as growing up as a kid, I was like, I didn't even know that stuff existed. You know what I mean? I didn't know that was even an option. And that's one of the things Andy and Jane have always done for me is they've showed me there's different ways to live, a different option out there, and not that I was like had a terrible childhood and I don't ever remember going without stuff and all this crazy stuff. But I would say it's very middle class and very average, and that extraordinary life in my mind was just for you were born into it and I wasn't born into it. And then me and Andy and Jane and someone willing to show me how to create that life. I'm like, it's not just born into, it's the way they think, it's the way they do things. And if I want to change that, and Stephen Davies said this at a conference years ago, and it hit me right in the face, but he said, all the punches you're unwilling to take, your kids are going to have to take for you. And I was like, well, I'm not real big on my kids getting punched in the face, so I'll have to take some more of these punches. You know what I mean? It's like, it's one of those things, and it's just following it, and by no stretch of the imaginations I'm where Andy and Jane are at, or even close, which I don't think I'll ever catch. I don't ever want to catch my mentor, you know what I mean? Because then they stop being your mentor. But I do want to get a lot closer. I want to close the gap. But it's one of those things where it's really cool doing it. It's fun, and it changes lives, and it changes people's lives. And that's one thing I love about the Alliance. It's not only duplication, but the more people you get duplicating, the more lives that it changes, and people's ability can change. So,
right.
All right, Sebastian LaQuinta, you guys get to go last. So they already took all your stuff, so you got to be creative. You guys are the smarter ones of them all, even though you called Michelle something earlier, but smart. You called her a smart girl or something.
Librarian. She looks like that librarian. Yeah. But yeah, just like mindset, duplication. Terry, we were talking, and here's a nugget. Before you get on one of these calls, talk to your mentors. Terry, anytime we do anything, when we're coming before all these agents that they don't have anything to do with us financially where we benefit, we got to think about sharing things that's going to benefit the whole team. And this was something that Terry reminded me of, that it hit me so hard this morning that reshifting thinking. This was a switch moment. This wasn't it's going to take me some time. He reminded me that when I got started, how stubborn I was. Like, everybody thinks they're easy to work with. They think they this, they think they that. I had some natural talents. I had a business I was building before I came, and it was successful. So we didn't have the financial issues. So there was things that Terry was trying to get me to do that I was pushing back. The number one thing was leads in the very beginning. Terry was like, hey, man, you may want to do this. We're going to sit down. We're going to do your schedule. We're going to talk about how to get you working your warm market and working leads. And I was like, oh, no, I don't need leads. I'm going to work my warm market. I'll show you, Terry. I was that guy. And sure enough, my first 6 weeks, we did good. We made about $6,000. But you know what happened? So we came in around June. About the end of July, August, we did real good. But you know what happened? In September and October and November, but I had my own way of thinking. And so now here I am 2-3 years later, after I get over the fear of if the company is going to be around, we start hiring people. And this whole time I'm hiring people and I'm treating them the way Terry treated me. Terry was hesitant on some things. So now I'm passing on the hesitancies. I'm not talking about getting in the leads real quick. I'm not talking about getting into homes, sitting down doing the schedule, because Terry had to slow roll me because of my attitude. And so it was like a eye-opening moment. Like, there's some areas in our business now that we're trying to grow. Like, I haven't been building depth. Depth is just now something that's been happening for us like in the last 6 weeks, because Terry had to show me, because I was hesitant to share people with him. I'm going and hiring people, being hesitant to get them to share people with me. But now we turned it on, and we got all the way from this guy, Corey Williams in Shreveport, been with me he's been with us since 2022. Just this last week, he hired this guy, Tony. We talked to Tony. This was like Sunday. We talked to Tony. Tony gets excited. We call Julian. We hired Julian. Julian gets excited, puts me on the phone with Ron. We're hiring him today. And we're talking to Megan at 7:30 tonight. So it's like, here we are, boom, boom, boom. In 1 week, we 4 levels deep just because a switch got flipped. Hey, you need to be talking to people about who they know that's sharp. Well, I've been asking the question, but then not taking the action. And Terry said, hey, look, we got to do this. And then Andy comes out 3-4 weeks ago talking about text dialing and 3-foot rule. So we take the text dialing, we practice that with everybody. Hey, who you got in your phone right now? Just 2 or 3 people. Send this message. They sent the message. We got Kamisha right here in Lawton. Like Terry was telling us, we need to be building at home, right? Here was a piece that back then, what did I not do? I wasn't building at home. I'm doing a recruiting list. Well, Terry say, Sebastian, this was like 4 weeks ago. He said, Sebastian, you don't know any good people in Lawton? Boom, here comes Kamisha. Kamisha done hired a lady. This lady's got, this is funny. We're going to Shreveport to help Corey and them this weekend. And Saturday, we're going to Shreveport. Corey's got we got about 15 people lined up that's already confirmed. Well, Kamisha works 2 doors down from us. We hire her. She brings in this young lady yesterday. We hire her named Rakia. Rakia's got 2 people that live in Shreveport. One of them live like less than 5 minutes from the meeting, what we're doing. So just working the depth and talking to people, like this was Rakia yesterday. We're talking to her brother and her best friend today. So Rakia just got hired yesterday. She's going to have 2 new people. And then guess what we're going to do? Call them 2 new people and get them to have some people in the meeting. So it's like the duplication thing, like moving faster. It's been taking us a long time because I'm doing the things that I saw, but instead of listening and doing what I'm being told to do. So now that we're doing that, we're seeing this growth where this thing is getting explosive. It's getting crazy. I got a couple right here, Cedric and Danielle. She comes every day. She's dialing. Guess what happened to her last week? She's been with us 4 weeks. She sold 2 trusts in 1 day. Just following the system, just duplication, implement it to trust. And got lined up to do an annuity and doing life insurance policies. They got their first comma check today, having a check with a comma in it. They came from another business where a comma check was a big thing, but because they came and followed our system of duplication, changing their mindset, boom, this morning they get a comma check. So that stuff is exciting, helping people. And like Michelle, you said this a minute ago, I love helping people and I love helping people help people. That's where we're at. It's exciting to see our people that we've helped now helping people. It's like, oh my gosh, this thing is about to get out of control. And that's where we want to be, where we're enjoying the growth and helping people grow. So that's what I'm excited about. But my mindset though,
the cool thing, like what you're saying there too, is like another duplication thing I'm seeing you do is you guys are going to Shreveport on the 23rd and doing it, and you're doing an open meeting for anyone that's in Shreveport, not just your guys. And Sebastian, what I see a lot of people say is like, well, I'm not going to go there just for my one guy. You know what I mean? He's not doing much. He's not doing this. But you've created a reason through the learning the depth with Terry and Andy and doing the text island and stuff. Now it's like, it's almost like dumb not to go. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's creating the activity and people, you'll see agents give you reasons and why well, you wouldn't want me going there just for one guy that's not doing much.
Right.
That's always the good way they ask the question. Well, I know you wouldn't want me to do this, and that may have been in your head. Like Terry may not have asked it, I may not ask, Andy may not ask, but it could have been in your head. The reason we didn't go to Shreveport before, we had this one guy not doing much, but then all of a sudden he starts tech. Now you're 4 deep, and you got other stuff. It's like it's almost now you just change your mindset by duplicating and following to now you're traveling like they travel too.
Right.
And it's like, well, of course Terry comes out to Lawton. We have a bunch of people here. That's why he comes out there. Well, he's done something to help you do it, and now he's helped you do it and spread it into. And I know you guys go to Houston and other areas too, but it's like when you were telling that story, it made me think even the traveling part, it's created the duplication of why to travel and why to go places. So
right.
LaQuinta, were you going to say something? But I jumped in and cut you off.
No, it's okay. I guess my road is a little different because, like I said in the beginning, I was a supportive spouse and I was trying to figure out my place. Going from corporate America, working with other people, now you're working with your spouse. So that's another learned behavior all in itself. It's not easy. It's like, okay, we're going to be seeing each other every day, interacting, all these things. And oh my gosh, called Clash of the Titans. But one thing I had to realize is it's going to I would have to change the way I thought about it. It took me so long because I was afraid of what was to come. It didn't even happen yet, but I was afraid to do it. So I had to get over my fear, number one, change the way I was thinking. And then along the way, I had to figure out where I fit into the equation. What piece was I going to play in the game? We tried a certain thing. I was going to be the office admin, make sure everything was running smoothly, manage the staff, yada, yada, yada. And then I felt like at a certain point, Sebastian and I were competing. I'm like, okay, I'm trying to go behind him, making sure he's doing what he's supposed to be doing, because I'm listening and hearing and learning myself. I don't sell or anything like that. I'm more of the magnet that connects the pieces together. So I took on a different role. Now I'm recruiting more. I have taken that baby on, like full on. And so now I'm like, okay, I need training. So I don't always want to be behind Sebastian. I don't want to always be in his shadow. So I applied for the AIT. I went to the Albright Intense Training, and that's something that I had to really step out of my comfort zone to go ahead and do, because I know I had to recreate myself. It's like, you come from corporate America, you come from being an employee, but now I'm a business owner. Now I have to take ownership of what I'm doing. So I need to learn how to do that. And us teaching each other was not working. So I had to step out and go get training and figure out how to be a supporting spouse and how we can gel the two worlds together to make things work. And let me tell you, the things that we have implemented, as far as structuring, even talking to Terry and Tia, we had to restructure our whole schedule in order to get on the same page. We had to turn off this access to this calendar, turn this one on. So there's specific things that if people would just realize that they're doing or not doing, that's going to absolutely change and catapult where you are to where you want to go. And so ever since we've done, those, I would say small things, but I feel like our business is on the path of where we want to go now. I'm even going to the leadership cabin. That's another stepping out of the comfort zone situation. So I'm working on me being a more supportive spouse and me being more side by side with Sebastian, not behind Sebastian.
I love that, because it made me think of so many things. It's like when me and Angela were dating, and then when we got married and got in the business together, I always wanted her to be in the business with me. Mm-hmm. And then it's once she was in the business with me, I was like, what did I pray for? You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, what you pray for?
Oh gosh, I was like, be careful what you pray for. But and then you look at like Mike and Noel Leventovich, who have the perfect marriage, the perfect, like every part of it, and it's not, but they do, but they've been together for so long in the business together, and they grew together in the business. And some of the things you're talking about is they go into the Albright Intense Training and stuff. You have to grow as a person, and Angela grows as a person too. And it's figuring out how you guys can work as a team. You know what I mean? Because it's like when she came into the business too, it's kind of like two individuals battling for power, battling for this. And it sounds like that's what you and Sebastian had, something similar. But once you figure out that dynamic, and I always think it's very important, you both have to be growing. Like one can't be doing stuff growing, the other one's just sitting back and watching. Even if it's just, and I hate how I said that, but if it's a supportive spouse role, it's still growth is important, or you separate. So even if they're not involved necessarily in the business or the day-to-day operations, the growth is still important, because if not, you grow apart. Right. And I'm thankful that we've kind of figured out our roles and worked together too, because it was like, I fired her from like 10 roles before we figured it out. But Andy said, be quick to hire, quick to fire. I was like, I'll fire her quick. You know what I mean? I'll give her a role quick, but I got to fire her from that role quick too.
I didn't want to have a quitter mindset, so I had to make some changes fast.
But but now it's really cool working together and doing things together, and both growing together and doing things. She's going to the cabin event, the women's cabin event. She's going with a bunch of ladies up from our team together. A bunch of you guys are going up there. So it's cool watching that and working together to build the business, because we both have so many strengths, and we can play to each other's strengths and really cover up each other's weaknesses as well. And I'm sure that's kind of like you and Sebastian kind of work well together too. So
yeah, definitely.
So cool. Real quick, I kind of just want to open it up. Do you guys have any questions or any things that you kind of with duplication or leading thoughts from the call that we've gone through over hearing each other talk and stuff, like maybe that you're struggling with, things that you're not sure about, kind of any questions that you guys think you could have or may help someone out there? Sebastian raised his hand. So polite.
I didn't want just all of us unmute at one time.
Just be first, you know?
Yeah. So, like how important it is that when we come in, like, of course, because of how I came from a different business, different format. How can we overcome that mindset quicker of thinking that we know, like we're coming into this thing brand new. And if we were so great at what we were doing, why are we coming here now? So now that we're here, how do we quickly drop our preconceived notions, our pre-teachings, and just let, like my daughter tells me, Dad, just let it happen. Like, how do we take on the system wholeheartedly and just break that mindset of where we came from, thinking that we're going to pioneer this new way of success when it wasn't successful before?
Yeah. And a lot of times, Sebastian, when people come with those thoughts too, they want to bring those thoughts with them and be like, well, the reason it didn't work there is just because that system was broken. This one's not broken. So I'm going to bring those thoughts and revolutionize this, you know. And it's knowing that Andy's probably already thought of that. 12 of us have already tried that other thing. You know what I mean? For me, man, it was just knowing I thought I was special when I came here, kind of like, you know, I had a big corporate job. I had felt I made it in the world, so I was special, you know. And it was the second I realized I wasn't that special because I was getting beat by people that I was like, how the hell that person beat me? And it's just knowing that they're copying Andy better, you know, or copying the 8 steps better, copying the script letter. I think back to like when I first started, I was part-time agent, but I was calling leads. And I listened to the phone script that they're calling, and I didn't say this out loud, but in my head, I was like, that's the dumbest phone script I've ever heard in my life. There's no way that's going to work. I'm going to use the script we used at Merrill Lynch, and I'm going to crush this thing. And I remember doing that script and then being like, and booking 0 appointments, getting no results. And then my mind went from these leads suck. You know what I mean? And I had a mentor at the time that said to me, and when I went to him, and I was just basically going to him to quit. You know what I mean? I wasn't going to just disappear. I was going into the office to say, hey, I'm going to quit. These leads suck. Your system sucks. What you say doesn't work. Like, I was just going to politely quit in person. And he goes, hey, do you ever think it's you that sucks? And I was like, no, I've never thought that one bit at all. And he's like, you should probably consider that. And he's like, well, let me hear your phone script since you're so good. And he's like, where the heck did you get that from? And dude, he challenged me in just the way he's like, hey, why don't you give it one more week and do it my way, the script that we got for you, and just see how it works out. And if you still book 0 appointment. And I remember I went back and practiced that script 500 times in one day, got it down, because I didn't want him to go back and be like, you didn't do the script right. I was like, I'm gonna get this thing down, dude. Sure as crap, I started booking appointments, and then I actually made sales. And the next sales meeting I went to, I had to write numbers other than 0 on the board, and that means I made money, which was the cool part. But the bad part was I had to be like wrong. You know what I mean? And it was I just learned really quickly because I had someone that said, hey, stud, maybe you're not so studly. You know what I mean? And it's, you know, is there more nice ways to say things or get things across? Yeah, maybe, but that worked for me. And it was just knowing that really ultimately you're not that special, you're not that great. And ultimately the faster you can get to copying great people. You know, I was talking to Michelle last night about something completely off topic, but we're talking about like jets, like Andy's jet and getting a jet. And I was like, you know, I read somewhere there's a thing like before someone buys their own private jet, they have like a minimum of 10 luxury cars. And it's like, instead of focusing on that jet, let's work on that collection of 10 luxury cars. So out of how many cars you got, how many are luxury? And they're like 0. Okay, well, let's get the first one. Because Because on average, you need 10 luxury cars before you buy the jet. You know what I mean? So let's get that first one. You don't buy all 10 at the same time. It's this, there's steps to this thing. You know what I mean? And that was kind of, for me, it was like steps to this thing, like master the phone script, master the in-home. And you can do it quickly and make those changes quickly. But it's, for me, dude, that's really what woke me up. And elegantly, Andy's woke me up. I think you guys even mentioned the drawing the line, or Jonny mentioned drawing the line down a piece of paper and following Andy, and he's that line. And then every time I veer off that line, costs me time and money. That's another moment where he's punching me in the face, but being like, "You're not this good. Just we've tried this. Do this." And it's staying close and staying plugged in, you know, and really staying close to mentors that have your best interest at heart and really want to see you win. And you're ultimately not going to like what they say a lot of times, but it's the times when, like, almost everything that I can think back that Andy's really helped me with, I didn't like it when he said it at all. Like, but ultimately he's right. He was right. You know what I mean? And that's what moves things. And you can battle it and be like, no, he's wrong. That's wrong of him. I'm not going to change this. And you have choices. It's just, you also have choices to stay where you're at or move too, you know, from there. So.
I have a question.
Uh-oh.
No, I just, when it doesn't happen as fast, right? Like, when the duplication isn't happening as fast as maybe you thought, or wherever that idea comes from, and it's not happening that fast, like, how do you manage your emotions and keep yourself from getting frustrated, or even, you know, letting the frustration slow you down in the first place?
Yeah, it comes. Someone always told me that the ego stands for edging God out. So every time that your ego gets your ego gets high and you don't want to duplicate, you don't want to change things quick, you're edging God out. Like, it's edging God out of your life. It's edging that out. And I'm not saying Andy's God, but he's the one that's leading me to where I want to go, you know? And it's kind of like changing quickly. There's a great book. I think this is coming from the book you're reading, because I know you're reading it, but it's for the people out there. It's Tony Robbins, Awaken the Giant Within, and he talks about, like, you can change things as fast as you want to. So if it takes you 6 months to make the change, you decided to do that. And a lot of people, when they look at change, they look at what they're going to have to give up. You know what I mean? It's like, when I have this, you know, those staples, like that has that button. I got a button on my desk. So whenever I think I'm BSing myself, I just hit that button, and then it tells me some motivational talk about BS, and I'm like out of it. But it's knowing, like, we're really good at selling ourselves on why not, in between the 6 inches between our ears, you know what I mean, and telling you why not to do it. So it's like, for me, Michelle, and this may not really, because not having kids, but I would like, well, he doesn't understand. I got to spend time with my kids, or I got to do this with my kids. And Andy's, when he's telling me this stuff, he's saying, you need to do this for your kids. And one thing he always taught me is, usually whatever your BS story is you're telling yourself, you can flip it to a positive way of why you need to do it. Usually just that whatever and it flips to make that reason not to the reason why to, and it makes the nail hurt hard enough. So it's like when I go on a diet, it's like, you don't want to think about you have to give up eating pizza, because I like pizza and ice cream and different kind of sweet stuff, you know, and people are like, I don't want to go on a diet because I don't want to give up pizza. You know what I mean? Like, I've sold myself pizza as a superfood, because it's got like carbs, dairy, meat, like it's got all the food groups in one slice. So it's like a superfood, right? Like, that's what you sell yourself, but it's just wrong, you know? But you could sell yourself that, and you have to give up a superfood like pizza to lose weight. But then you ultimately look at, like, how you feel better, and usually what happens is when people diet, the ones that are successful dieters, they can go through that period to see results. You know, if it's 30 days of a diet, they're mentally tough enough to fight through that 30 days to see the result at day 30, so they stick to it.
Right.
The ones that aren't tough enough to make it through that 30-day diet for like 3 days, they haven't lost 12 pounds, so they stop. And those people that can't make it through that bigger window, the window that see the results to get excited about the path they're going down, they have to keep things in front of them to sell them on why they're doing it. So if making changes in this business or making changes of what you want to do is hard, and the changes you want to make would be like, what is the purpose for making these changes? Why is the purpose to leveling up? What are you doing it for? For me, it was always for my kids. I wanted to give them a different life, a different style. So it's twisting that thought in your head. I'm doing it for this. I'm doing it for ultimately, because I got in the business to spend more time with my kids. That's what always attracted me about this business. It wasn't about the money. It was about spending more time with my kids. But ultimately, I had to spend less time with them for a short period of time to get the ball rolling and get the results going and get things going. And then once that happened, I was like, oh crap, I got more freedom, I got more time, I can do these things, we can actually do cooler stuff. You know what I mean? We didn't have to go, like, the beach is great, but it's free. You know what I mean? It's like, I like to go to a private beach that not many people can go to. It's not as busy. The people bring you drinks, and you don't have to like walk off the beach to go get food. Those are the places. Now those places cost money to go to. So it's like changing that thing. It's like I like the beach, but I like this beach better. You know, and it's knowing that those things happen. So it's like changing the way you think towards what you want to do, and the more urgent you make that. For me, I have stuff in front of me all the time. I have like a little Matchbox card, my dream car. It sits on my desk. I have vision boards that I have. I'll print out things and stick it around places just to always see the stuff of why. And it doesn't have to be like time with my kids. Wasn't a car, you know what I mean? But it was what drove me. And with the things that are driving you, or usually your excuses are the things that will drive you if you learn how to switch it. Like, I don't crave pizza as much because I'm seeing the results of losing weight and like how I feel. You know what I mean? I still love pizza, but it's, you know.
I have a question real quick. So, you know, a lot of our, and this is us putting ourselves out there, but you know, a lot of our circumstances, a lot what's going on through our life right now. If I want to double down, not even double down, if I want to triple down in the next 90 days when we're talking about building, what are the first 3 steps that you would take to go towards that goal?
The first step is, I think you need to be laser focused on what you want. If it just to give, like, some people like they're like, I want to leave my job, I want to do this full time. And I'll be like, what's it going to take to do that? And they're like, when I get good, I'll quit my job. That's not laser focus on what you want to do. You know what I mean? Or what you want to accomplish. So I always think it's good. And I'm not saying it's during business hours when you can be making sales and booking appointments and doing all that kind of stuff. But like later at night, like after 10 o'clock, like be thinking, sit down and actually go in thought of what you want and what it takes. Another thing Andy's always taught me is white sheeting. If you guys don't know what white sheeting is, get with your manager, but it's really like you take whatever that is and put it in a center piece of paper. So like on my desk, all I have is plain white paper. I don't use line paper because when I white sheet so much, Andy always taught me the lines are distracting. So I just buy white paper and do it. So I just write whatever that is I want, and then you just go off of it, like what it's going to take to do it, what you're going to have to do to get it. And once you know what it is, white sheet it to what you want it to be. And then you talk about, then I make a list of things that you're willing to do, and the things the things you're willing to give up and the things you're not willing to give up. Okay. Like I'm not willing to give up my marriage. I'm not willing to give up my relationship with my kids. And I'm not willing to give up my health because if I'm not healthy enough to enjoy it, why do it? So I wouldn't give up my relationship with God. You know what I mean? So it's figuring out what you're willing not to give up. And then it's like, from that, what's the other crap you're doing? So I always say, like, Stephen Davies taught me this too. It's I have 5 things that I basically live for. I live for my God, I live for my health, I live for my marriage, I live for my kids, and I live for my business. And I almost have learned to, anytime I do something outside those 5 things, I feel guilty. So so I'd say first is be laser focused on what it is you're going for. Figure out the things that you're willing to give up and the things you're not willing to give up. And then basically put into your schedule that what those things that have suffered in my life is pick up basketball, watching TV, scrolling social media. Like those are the things that suffer. So going to the bar and having happy hour with my old work friends, you know what I mean? Like they're not the building a relationship with them is not one of my 5 things. You know what I mean? Now, if it is one of your 5 things, I'd say go hang out with them, go have fun. It just wasn't mine. You know what I mean? And once you get focused on it and build that into your life, I mean, for me, it's been the most fulfilling thing ever. Because I think the BS button that people hit is like, well, I don't want to give up that because of this. And they sell themselves some crazy story why it's important. You know what I mean? And even on social media is a great one. They'll say, well, I get leads and I make sales off social media, so you wouldn't want me to give that up. Okay, I don't want you to give up that part of it, but the scrolling for 3 hours, can you cut that down to 2 or 1? You know what I mean? It's like, how can you get rid of those things? How can you put those things in there? The different things that you can really eliminate that really don't mean crap to you. You know what I mean? When you know what you want and what you're going after, the rest really doesn't matter.
Okay, thank you. I got more of you, and I got more.
You can go ahead. Sebastian hasn't raised his hand again yet, so you know how polite Sebastian is.
I'm so polite.
So what LaQuinta told me is how polite you are. She sent me a text how polite. She's like, even in the house, he like raises his hand and asks permission to do stuff. So
How do we keep our team like connected to the vision when we're trying to grow? Like it's easy to get off that line. So how do you keep them on the line?
One is they need to know your vision, what you're trying to do. People like being part of something. So it's good to know, like, talk about it. Like inside of our goal, I would be shocked if any of you guys didn't know my goal wasn't to do $2 million a month. You know what I mean? I say it all the time. It's in front of us. We've been chasing it forever. And I'm not changing. I'm not moving it off that. But that's what we want. That's what my current goal is for me. And really it's hard to put your goal on your team, but they need to know what it is. So some people are going to want to chase it with you. But I always say too, it's like to help your team chase things. It's when I do the 2 million, I'll like draw like you and Jonny, and I'll be like, I'll ask you what your guys' goal is. So say your goal is to get to 500,000 a month. Okay. I can mark that as part of my 2 million. You know what I mean? But it's also, I'm helping you achieve your goal because you're ultimately going to fight for your goal a whole lot harder than you're going to fight for mine. You know what I mean? Or if your goal was to buy a house, me helping you account and figuring out what that looks like, what that's going to look like, what you need to have to do it, helping you fight for that. And then once you add up your team, so when I take my team and if I draw out my team and I add up everyone's goals that are in there and we do like 1.5 million, so we're $500,000 short of my goal. I know I need more people. I know I need to find more. Like I trying to convince you guys of changing your goal is usually doesn't work. You know what I mean? I want to help you do it and find more to do it. And ultimately, even if it added up to 2 million, I got to find more because not everyone's going to hit it. You know what I mean? And then ultimately too is once we get close to 2 million, I'm going to change it and it's going to get higher. So
Never reaching the goal.
So the other thing too, Jonny, is what I always find is if your team doesn't see you fighting for your goal, it's going to get hard to get them to fight for anything too. So it's almost like that leading by example. So it's kind of like when you say stuff like, it's like with me, with me saying we want to do 2 million, and you don't see me travel, you don't see me get around people, you don't see me recruit, and you don't see me going out there working with agents. It's almost like, does he really want this, or is he just full of crap?
Mm-hmm.
And so the important part is when you tell your team your goal or something that you're chasing, and you want to help them hit their goals, but if they don't see you chase your goals, it's really bad. So it's hard to get them buying in on anything too. What Andy is always said, you want to show your buttholes and elbows. You know what I mean?
Like leading by example, basically.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
And Andy and Jane have always been. They'll leave you in the dust. They lead by example so well, they will leave you in the dust. You know what I mean? And I like that. I respect that. You know what I mean? And that's something I can chase too. So it's ultimately where they're willing to continue and go, and the ability to wanting to do that. It's given me more drive to chase mine as well. Oh, look at that. Sebastian, you training her up, man.
Duplication at its finest, sir.
I learned fast. Speaking on a married couple building this business together, what tools have you and Angela used or implemented in order to achieve that goal? Or I know you guys are still learning, but what have you guys done?
I mean, the best thing that me and Angela have ever done is decide to grow as people. Ultimately, for our relationship, for our business, even through like the times where I fired her like 20 times. You know what I mean? It's not like we both never stopped the chase of growing as people. You know what I mean? So that's ultimately been the best thing. Is the growth. And I watch Andy and Jane. I watch someone like a Mike and Noah Leventovich. I watch someone like an Adam and Beth Katz. When I watch them from a distance in their relationships and the alliance over knowing these people for 18 years, they've grown as a couple. And having that passion to grow and read books and stuff. Like Angela stole a book off my desk today. I almost killed her because I was like, just buy your own. But I'm not a good sharer. You know what I mean? So he's like, I'm borrowing it. And I was like, I don't share, but, yeah, not a good, it's because when she shares, it doesn't come back. I got to go where she's reading it and steal it back, but that growth stuff together, I think as a couple or even an individual, your best investment, I've always been told is investing in yourself or in personal growth, growing yourself. And I think the exact same thing goes for a relationship. The best thing for your relationship is investing in growth as a relationship. So I don't think it changes from individuals to, so if there's single people out there, they're like, well, I'm not married, I'm not this, I'm not in a relationship, blah, 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 blah. The number one thing for them is personal growth. And I think for a relationship, the number one thing is personal growth together. So
That's good.
Yeah, that's good.
Look at Michelle. She's copying you guys.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Okay. There's a two-parter. Okay. All right. So as we continue to develop, for those that don't know you, if you've never been on the call or whatever, you're like, mental toughness is your game. That's your speed. And I have learned so much from just kind of being exposed to it, like resilience, emotional intelligence, and it's still something that you actively work on, right? And so how can I, or how do you duplicate that in your team, but also know that it takes a while? Like, it's not something that is fast. I'm just thinking about how slow, it's just something that happens over time. And so how do you have the patience to develop in others? And what are some things that you do to start the development process?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny if you ask like an Adam Katz or a Eric Belair or someone I've known for 15 plus years. 15 years ago, I guarantee they didn't think I was a mentally tough human being. You know what I mean? That was a decision I made probably, it was probably Because when I read the book Relentless, I ultimately think that was me in my sporting or my basketball career, was the tough player, the gritty player, and I think I'd lost it through corporate America. But it was a decision I made in life when I read that book Relentless, and I talked to Andy about it. Like, he's like, you can be that here too, and it was just a decision to start doing stuff and building that toughness. Now, it's not for everyone, but it's what I wanted in my life and what I kind of attached to. So it's, when I take that thought process into it, that I try to lead by example of people, and some of you guys like it and follow it, and some other people are like, hell no, I ain't doing that stuff. And it doesn't mean they're right or wrong, it's just they're not following the path that I'm doing in that part of life. But as long as they're following their path and what takes them there, ultimately that's a great thing. You know what I mean? Like, some of the crazy stuff I do, Albright doesn't do. Okay, but don't get yourself wrong. Andy's created mental toughness just in a different way. For me, that's the way I had to do it to figure it out. But Andy's done it in different ways because he's the most mentally tough person I know, in the way he deals with things. So it's understanding those things, and it's just communicating with the ways that I learn faster that I've done it. But by no stretch, like, I don't see Andy climbing a mountain with me anytime soon. But I also see Andy continue to do things that challenge him mentally toughness to go further. So it's knowing the path of success to lead you to what you want to do, and having a plan to do that, and sit down with a plan to do it, and then also getting coaching with people that you get coached by of the best way to execute that quickly. So some of the things you were saying, like, it's a slow process. It's as slow as process as you want it to be, and it's as fast as process as you want it to be. You know what I mean? And there's good ways to do it, and there's bad ways. If we're talking about, like, say, just weight loss, because that's a common thing that people do. If you fasted for, like, I saw something the other day that Kevin James, that actor guy, he did a 51-day fast, and he lost like 150 pounds in that 51 days. And it's like, hey, I want to lose 150 pounds. I'd be like, I heard about Kevin James fasting for 51 days. Now, is it the safest, best, maybe not. I have no idea. I'm not an expert on it, but hey, it worked. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's like, there's ways to do things out there. There's good ways and bad ways. That's why it's always important to have a mentor to kind of lead you the way to get to where you want to go. But the mental toughness thing, I don't think it's just something I decided that's who I wanted to be, and I have my ways to do it. There's other people out there that say, I don't want to do that, I want to do this. I'd be like, then be the best at it you can be, whatever it is. And the success of being the best of what you can be is the same regardless of what it is.
I do think, though, that it does tie into like I think to survive this business, to do it at a high level, you have to have a high level of emotional intelligence, which is what most people don't come into this industry with yet. Or at least it's something that can always be improved and so on. It's something that, like, I've definitely had to grow up here and do. And so when you're trying to help other people develop that, so that way they can overcome things faster, or not quit on themselves or quit the business in general, what are some things that you're doing to help them, kind of navigate?
So like to use like a Terry and Tia, like, they came in this business, they moved very quickly, they had success very quickly, they successful. I would say his emotional intelligence was higher than most that we start with, but the thing people got to realize is it's not that they've been taught that before. You know what I mean? They're not special. They've just been somewhere that taught them that before they got here, so they're ahead when they got here. So when you see people start with us, they get off to like necessarily a quicker start than others. They may have changed quicker too. That I'm not saying that, but if it's like immediate, like they start and they would start, they've just been taught some of the stuff that we teach elsewhere. or success elsewhere. So that's why, like, even when you look at like the Alliance Aiden and Alice posters and stuff, and you grade people off those 12 things that are listed questions there, the people that score a 12 for 12 on there are more likely to have been taught some of the things that you're going to have to teach them than someone that scores a 2. Okay, it doesn't make them a better person. It's just you're going to have to help these people develop stuff off those questions, off the Alliance Aid and Alice book. If you don't know what that is, read the Millionaire Maker Manual. It's inside there. But it's so when people don't necessarily, and that's kind of where, like, when you look, like me and Fitz, when Fitz has been in the business way longer than I have, but we're the same age, you know what I mean? And I always related to his story because we lost our dads about the same time of our life, different things. And so it's always been like the guy I've attached to because it's been there. But I was making $0 and he was making millions when I started. And it was always in my head that I wanted to catch him. And I remember having conversations with him. He's like, the only way you're going to catch me is outwork me and outdevelop me. And he's like, you're 10 years behind. So I was like, I need to listen to a lot of audio. I got to read a lot of books. And I got to do a lot of associating to catch up. Because my income will grow as I grow that me as a person, my ability, and I just have to. If I'm going to catch him, I can't do it at even the same pace that he's doing it at, because then we'll just cape there. If I wanted to catch him, I want to do it. So when you look at someone, if I go back to like the Terry and Tia example, you have Terry and Tia got off and he says, I made $8,000 my first month, this much my second month, this month, and you're like, I'm only making $1,000. You just got to catch up because they've been taught some of that before. You know, they've read books. Like, I know when Terry came here, the first time he read a book was not with us. When I came here, the first time I read a book was with us. So, you know what I mean? So if you're the person like me, that's the first time you read a book is when you started the Alliance, you just got catching up to do. You got to start reading some more books. You got some more audio to listen to, and you got some associating to do. And if you say, I want to pass Terry and Tia Edwards, you just got to do it at a faster pace than they're currently doing it. Hey, Sebastian.
So I have a question too. Is it important to have goals and dreams, or can I just rely on my skills? And this is coming from something personal, because I know when I first got started, I heavily relied on my talent because I knew what I thought I could do. But I know there was times where, you know, I was kind of like this, like, really. And so I started thinking to myself, is it important to have goals and dreams, or can I just work hard and make it?
I think both. I mean, it's relying on your talents is good because that's kind of like you came in with talents, kind of like I was saying with Terry and Tia, but it's only going to get you so far. And then working harder will get you a little bit farther. The hard part when it's only just talent and working hard, you're still limited because it's like, I don't believe with how hard you two work that in your mind of minds, I don't think you physically think you could do twice as much work, twice as hard as you currently are. Because I don't think you're lazy, but I do think you could work harder, but I don't think twice as hard. So, if the thought process is we want to double our income, we're going to have to work twice as hard. It's going to, in your subconscious, you're going to be telling yourself that's impossible. And you're going to give your reasons why you're not doing it. The BS button, you're going to come up with reasons, and it's just working differently. You know what I mean? Like, I know you guys have staff, like that's working smarter, getting staff to do this or leveraging different ways. And that's where coming into going to another levels is where mentorship and duplication comes in and copying what they do. You know, it's always funny. It's like, they're like, I don't get any time with Andy, but I'll be like, how many times you talked to Clay Murtis this week in President's Club? Like, oh, like 5 times. Well, you're getting Andy because he's giving you an access to do it. You know what I mean? How many times you talked like, that's all duplication stuff, because if he's answering all those questions that they can answer, he's going to be watered down way too much, you know? So so it's like, what are you doing in your business to duplicate that? What are you doing in your business to duplicate this? Are you selling your guys on now that you drive in depth? Are you selling your guys to doing that? When you travel this week to Louisiana, right? When you go to Louisiana, the guy you're going to see in Louisiana, is he driving depth? Are you teaching him driving depth and going to see his agents? And the duplication of what you guys are doing. And the better we get at doing that, the more explosion we're going to have. If you look on the maps of kind of what I want to talk about anyways, as we wrap up, is kind of the maps, like you guys are going to Shreveport, but you look on there, it's a lot of the same faces. The more duplication we get of people traveling and helping agents, the faster everything explodes. There's a lot of stuff going on. If you're unsure what it is, it's the allianceevents.com, and click on hotspots. You can see things coming up in your area and in your team's area, and in places to go. But also you say, hey, there's not one in my area. You're welcome to start one in your area. You know what I mean? Like, the cool thing with you guys, Sebastian, is you never waited to start something in Lawton. You didn't wait for Andy Albright to be like, I'm going to go to Lawton just to start a meeting. You know what I mean? It's like probably not one of the first ones on his list. But he's been there. He flew out there. But you can create things in your area. It's like, I don't have this. It's taking the ownership to do it and build something, build a hotspot, or build a thing around where you're at. And then as your team grows, you need to travel to where they're at too, and continue to do what Andy and Jane does. So definitely get on that the allianceevents.com page. Look at the hotspots in your area. If there's not one, I'd say let's start one. Let's get one going there. We need one in a lot more cities than we're currently in. And also, too, keep in mind, National Boot Camp, October 17th. Corporate office is right around the corner. You can say it's still a ways out. It's right around the corner. It'll be October 17th before you know it. And make sure you get your tickets for that. Make sure you get signed up for it. I always say buy your tickets now. And you're like, well, I got plenty of time to October 17th to buy my ticket and do this. Once you make the commitment and you have it on your schedule, you'll be shocked how many things are going to come up. There's a lot going on October 17th that you're going to be invited to, and you don't even know it yet. But if you lock it up that you're going and get your ticket to go, you'll say no, 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 no. But when it's not locked up, all of a sudden you got options. Like, what could I do on October 17th? So get your ticket, get it secured. You can do that as well on the allianceevents.com to get your ticket, or get with your manager. They may have some deals that they're running and stuff for you as well. Other than that, guys, thanks for joining me, you guys. I appreciate it. You made the call go much faster and much better. And thank you so much, Andy and Jane Albright, and all the Alliance Nation. Let's have a great week, and we'll see you soon. Talk to you guys later.